Good evening and welcome to Daily Red Devil for all of your latest Manchester United transfer news and talk. And as always, we're back with another massive show to bring you guys this evening. But before we jump into that, please do smash a like on the video and please do subscribe to the channel if you are new. So on the show this evening, we are of course going to be talking about this official statement from the Manchester United website talking about Jadon Sancho. We'll of course touch on that. We'll also be talking a little bit about what we think is going to happen on Saturday, who's going to be playing in that right wing position. Will it be Pellistri? I hope so. We'll be talking about that. We'll also be talking a little bit about a surprising, I guess, fact about Mason Greenwood, which we'll get into. But yeah, lots and lots to get into. As always, do get involved in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts on everything we discuss on today's show, as I always do like to see what you guys have to say. Now, let's get things started. Let's start off with this story. This is coming out from the Manchester United's official website, and the statement goes as follows. They say, Jadon Sancho will remain on a personal training program away from the first team group, pending resolution of a squad discipline issue. So, Jadon obviously put this tweet out, 2 weeks ago? It still hasn't been resolved. Yes, he's removed the tweet, but he hasn't managed to sort it out. Erik ten Hag must be at his absolute wit's end. The fact that John Murta, Richard Arnold apparently now having to get involved, the fact that he's not even training with the first team, I mean, that relationship is clearly broken, isn't it? The fact that Manchester United have to put out a statement today on their official website, everywhere on their Twitter, saying that Jadon will not be part of the first team training plans and he will be training on his own. So that obviously means he won't be part of the game on Saturday. Impossible. He hasn't trained with the first team. He's training alone at Carrington away from the rest of the team. I mean, that just shows how fragile this relationship is between Erik ten Hag and Jadon Sancho. They clearly don't want to make friends. They clearly don't want to, make up with each other. If I was Erik ten Hag, I wouldn't blame. I don't blame him, to be honest. I really don't. I think that Jadon has done pretty much everything wrong in this situation by way of the handling of it. Yes, there might be things going on behind the scenes that we don't know about. So we always do have to be, careful of things like that because we don't know what, Jadon might be going through things that we're unaware of. But I think if we just look at this from a footballing perspective, you can't have your manager being called out by a player on Twitter and then left up there for 8 days. That can just never happen. And the fact that Manchester United are now having to come out to the public, to the press, and address this situation and say that, he won't be part of the first team squad, he's going to train on his own. I mean, that's terrible. That's absolutely awful. For somebody that we're paying 350 grand a week, we spent 75 million pounds on, and he isn't even able to train with the first team because he's fallen out with the manager. I mean, it really can't get any worse than that for Jadon Sancho, can it? So Samuel Luckhurst has said that Sancho arrived at Carrington today. He attempted to hide from the photographers. It was the right decision by Manchester United. They can't tolerate a player publicly accusing the manager of lying. This has to be Sancho's last month/season at Manchester United. And you know what? I 100% agree with every single thing that Samuel Luckhurst has just said there, It has to be his last months or season. We need to get rid of him in January. Worst case scenario, we need to get rid of him in the summer because you cannot have a player outing a manager. You can't. Stefan says Ten Hag is being a proper manager. United finally fully backing him over discipline and conduct shows the whole playing squad who's boss. I 100% agree with you, mate. And you know what? I actually applaud Manchester United for this. And I never really do this ever because 99% of the time, the things they do are wrong. But the way that they've backed Erik ten Hag in this situation, I think is 100% the correct decision. If this was another manager years ago, they'd say, you know what? You need to make it work. The player's more important than you. You remember like the Pogba situation, don't you? It wasn't exactly the same. It was probably worse than this situation now. But you could tell that the club... were kind of backing Paul Pogba because they'd spent all of this money on him. They were paying him ridiculous wages. He was this superstar. And they said, Mourinho, Jose, you've got to make it work. But yeah, I do think it's the right thing. Jihan says, Erik ten Hag is the person in charge. Sancho has zero power and he holds a stupid position. I guess you can see that now. We need to do the same thing to Maguire. Maguire has to go along with Sancho. Yeah, I agree. Both of those players need to leave. But, I know it's not good enough. But at least with Maguire, he's not sending for the manager on Twitter. I mean, that's just too far, isn't it? Kenneth says you cannot have a big time Charlie in the dressing room. It's no good for morale. I mean, it's bad enough when it's a world class player like Ronaldo who comes in and is, acting like the big man in the changing room and the rest of it. Well, he is the big man. It's Cristiano Ronaldo. When you've got Jadon Sancho, who's never really won anything in his life, yes, he's a talented player, but I wouldn't say he's world class. You've got someone like that coming in, trying to act the big man, trying to call out the manager, trying to do all of these things. Like, that just cannot happen under any circumstances whatsoever. But let's see what else everyone is saying. Urban says, this is the right thing to do. Well done to United. When do you think Sancho will start again? Mate, I honestly don't know. And you know what? In some ways, I'm actually happy. And I'll tell you why. Because I think this now gives Pellistri a chance. And I think Pellistri deserves a chance. We obviously heard yesterday that apparently Pellistri didn't take any summer holiday. He went on his own 2-month-long training camp in Mexico that was all just organised by himself. Just to get himself, you know, to that top conditioning. And all I want, genuinely, is for Pellistri to start on Saturday, to have a good game, and then him to cement himself in that team, because I think he deserves it. I really, really do. I think he's a quality player. I think could be the future of Manchester United on that right wing. Obviously, Anthony, there's loads of question marks over with this whole court case. There's also question marks over whether people actually think Anthony is good enough for Manchester United. I haven't made up my decision on that yet because it's only been one season. But what I have made my decision up on is that Pellistri does have that potential to be world class if we develop him in the right way. He's only just turned 21. Obviously, he's already starts for Uruguay at international level, which is obviously a massive coup for somebody of his age. You know, a 21-year-old who starts every game now for Uruguay. Obviously, they've just got Bielsa as their new manager, who speaks really, really fondly of him. Alan says, I don't think Sancho will play again. I mean, I don't really see how Sancho can backtrack on himself now, because he clearly thinks he's in the right. He clearly doesn't want to apologise. And if I'm Erik ten Hag, do you actually accept that apology? You know, let me know in the comment section, guys. If Jadon Sancho walked into your office today, right? Say you're Erik ten Hag, you're sat at Carrington, you're doing your emails, and Jadon Sancho knocks on the door and he apologises. Do you then forgive him and move on? Let me know. I mean, obviously, everybody deserves a second chance. I get that. Everybody in life makes mistakes. But I just think that this mistake has happened too many times with Sancho. I think when Erik ten Hag does give him the benefit of the doubt, when he does play him, he doesn't work hard enough for me. He doesn't track back. He doesn't look like he really cares that much. I think the thing with Jadon is, right, he's a really good player, but I think he's more of a luxury player. He's not the kind of player that we need at this moment in time, because we need players who literally will give 120% every single game, and he isn't one of those types of players. And I think that's essential to Erik ten Hag's kind of game style. Anthony, he gets loads of game time, probably because of how hard he works, you know, and Jadon Sancho doesn't do that. But let me know what your thoughts are on the Sancho situation. Obviously, as I said, he's not training with the first team. He will be training on his own away from the rest of the squad, which is pretty mad, isn't it? And just to end that bit of the show, as somebody said earlier on in the chat, I fully back Erik ten Hag in this situation. He's earned my trust. We saw Marcus Rashford in the form of his life last year. Marcus Rashford was 5 minutes late to a team meeting and he drops him. So nobody can say that, you know, he's picking on Jadon Sancho. Cristiano Ronaldo, the greatest player of all time, in my opinion, wasn't, you know, doing what he was supposed to be, and he drops him. Harry Maguire, Erik ten Hag comes in and drops him immediately, leaves him as the club captain, but drops him. So he's been very, very consistent. Richie says Pellistri won't start. It will be Mason Mount if fit, where he played his best for Chelsea. Ten Hag knew Sancho and Ante problems were coming, hence Mount number 7. I mean, that's a very good point there, Richie. I hadn't thought of that. Obviously, just to be clear, though, the game against Brighton on Saturday, Mason Mount will not be available. He is injured. So Pellistri has to start on Saturday. The only exception of where he doesn't is maybe Bruno Fernandes plays out on the right wing, and maybe Christian Eriksen comes in as the number 10. And you know what? In some ways, I wouldn't be against that. If we had a midfield 2 of Amrabat and Casemiro, play Eriksen as the number 10, and then you put Bruno Fernandes on the right wing. That could happen. We'll have to wait and see. Irvin says different circumstances, but Maguire will play due to injuries. Will Sancho get lucky too? I don't think so, mate. Because we know that Bruno Fernandes can play in that right wing position. As Richie says, we know that Mason Mount can play in that right wing position. So I don't think we actually need Jadon Sancho, to be completely honest. Like, if he's not going to resolve the situation, I don't think we're desperate for him, because even without Anthony, obviously Mason Greenwood's gone. Amad Diallo will be back soon. We've got Pellistri, we've got Bruno who can play there, we've got Mason Mount who can play there. We've still got 4 other players who can play in that right wing position. You could even argue that Garnacho could play there probably. Maybe even Rashford could play there. So you've got about 5 or 6 players, right, who could play in that position. So I don't think that, you know, just because Sancho, I think even if they made up, I don't think it's like a given that he's going to get game time just because Anthony's, you know, not going to play. But let me know what your thoughts are. How do you feel about the prospect of Bruno being the right winger on Saturday? Now, there is a bit of positivity coming out from James Ducker this afternoon. He is reporting that there is hope Sofyan Amrabat will be involved for Manchester United's game against Brighton. And you know what? That is a massive, massive boost because I think he's essential to that match. I honestly will be worried if we don't see Sofyan Amrabat start that game against Brighton. And you know why? Because I think that he will solidify that midfield. I think a midfield of Amrabat, Casemiro and Bruno Fernandes will be really, really solid. So I'm excited to see Sofyan Amrabat. I hope he starts the game. I don't really want to see a holding midfield of Eriksen and Casemiro because I don't think that works that well. I would prefer to see Eriksen a little bit more advanced, and hopefully we can see Amrabat get some game time. But let me know what you think. Do you think Amrabat will start on the weekend? I'm hoping he will. I think it's about time that we got to see some of him. Just keeping on the game on Saturday, James Ducker also is reporting that there are doubts over Lisandro Martinez's availability for the game against Brighton. Now, obviously, he went off to Argentina for the international fixtures, but didn't play any minutes because of a slight problem in his foot, I believe it was. It was the same place where he got injured at the end of last season and when he was out for about 10 weeks, I think it was, wasn't it? Now, I'll tell you what was good. The Argentinian international team didn't play him. They said you need to rest and all the rest of it, which was obviously great. They did do scans on him and apparently he is okay. But maybe it's just one of those ones that he just needs to take a bit of time out. But I would probably say that if he doesn't play, it'll probably be Harry Maguire and Victor Lindelof, which does worry me a little bit. I do hope that Lisandro Martinez is available because I think he's a massive, massive player for us at the moment. I think he will make a big, big difference. But yeah, let's wait and see what happens. Everybody who's just joined in the last couple of minutes, please do smash a like on the video and please do subscribe to the channel if you are new. We're only 13 subscribers away from 18,400. So please do go and subscribe if you haven't already. Get involved in this community. We're live every single day at 10 and 6. 8 and 6. So do subscribe, get involved, completely free, doesn't cost any money. Let's see what everyone else is saying in the comment section then. Frank says, let him train alone until January, transfer window, and then let him leave. Yeah, I don't disagree with you, to be honest, mate. I really don't. I don't think that Sancho really ever fulfilled his potential at any point at Manchester United. So I don't think it's a massive loss for him to not be part of the team personally. And the most important thing for me is mentality. It's maintaining Erik ten Hag's authority. It's maintaining the discipline. It's making the players understand that Erik ten Hag is the manager, and if they do something wrong, if they're late for training, if they don't turn up on time, if they don't work hard enough, then they will get dropped. And that has to be the way that it stays forever for me. No matter who it is, whether it's the player who's just scored 20 goals, when Marcus Rashford was in form, he still got dropped. Fred says, if Bruno plays right wing, it just won't work against Brighton. I hear you, mate, I do. Mila says, news are predicting 2-1 to Brighton. I still think we're going to beat Brighton. I do. I think it will be a difficult game, but I think we will have enough to beat them. I'm going with 2-1 Manchester United for the game against Brighton, but do let me know in the comment section what your score predictions are for that game. Rajat says he has everything to succeed, but has just never shown up on time. Yeah, exactly. He had all of the characteristics to go on to be a world-class player, Jadon Sancho, and I still think that. I still think he does have time, but I just think that it needs to be at another club. I don't think he has a future at Manchester United now, for me personally. He has to go. But let's move on to the next topic, though. I just hope that we see a front three of Rashford, Højlund and Pellistri on Saturday, because that excites me a lot. So fingers crossed that does happen. What have we got? Right, let's move on to this story about Mason Greenwood then really quickly. So this is coming out from Mike Keegan. Obviously, he is a journalist over here in the UK, and he is reporting this afternoon the response to Mason Greenwood's loan arrival at Getafe has been incredibly positive from their players, fans and staff. The players are looking out for him. And it also then goes on to say that Getafe have sold more shirts with Greenwood's name on the back in a week than they have for any player in the club's history. I mean, that is absolutely mad, isn't it? We don't know exactly how many shirts they've sold, but in 1 week, they've sold more Greenwood shirts than they've sold of any other club ever. Any other player for their club ever. Absolutely mental. Why am I mentioning this? I'm not really too sure. I just saw it and I thought it was quite interesting. And you know what? We've seen how much Getafe have been milking this announcement, haven't they? They've been absolutely milking it to the death. Every single time I go on Twitter, I see a Getafe post about Mason Greenwood, and I don't even follow Mason Greenwood. Sorry, I don't even follow Getafe. So it's crazy how outreach this announcement's gone. And it does make me think, is this part of the agreement with Manchester United? Are they really pushing it in people's faces to see what the reaction's like? I don't know. We've got somebody in the chat saying, Eric Ten Hag out. Obviously, you're entitled to your opinion, my friend. Let me know your reasons for it. I'm always happy to have differing opinions. And welcome to Hellboy as well, who's just joined, who's a new subscriber to the channel. Welcome. I hope you're doing well, mate, and welcome to the community. But yeah, let me know in the comment section, Bertie. Why do you want Eric Ten Hag out? Let me know. Let me know your reasons. Daniela says no one is buying Sancho for 40 to 50 million in January unless you start playing him. I honestly think that with Jadon, we'll have to do a loan with an obligation to buy. That's the only way that you get rid of him. There's no other way that you get rid of him, is there? No, as you said, no one's going to pay that type of money. Simon says, I don't support Greenwood, but however, he is going to come back if he does well, IMO. I wouldn't be surprised either. Mate. Mila says, if Greenwood shines in Spain, would you take him back next summer? We all deserve a second chance. I don't know. It's too hypothetical. I think at the moment, no. I think he deserves a second chance, but I just don't think that it will be at Manchester United. Obviously, we'll just have to wait and see, won't we? Let's have a look. All right, so Bertie has said Eric Ten Hag out. I've asked him to give an explanation, and he says, because we have no style of play and his man management is shocking. I disagree with you, right? So let's look at some of the players in the team. Wan-Bissaka was literally on the brink of leaving, turns him into probably our best right back. Rashford scored 5 goals the season before Eric Ten Hag came in. He scored, 30 goals in all competitions last season. Who else have we got? I can't think of any other examples off the top of my head, but there's 2 players that he turned into really good players. Yeah, I don't think Eric Ten Hag... Put Eric Ten Hag out in the same conversation it just doesn't make sense to me. But obviously you're entitled to your opinion. That's completely fine. I get the style of play thing. I get that. But I think that if I'd asked you, right, would you rather us finish 8th last year, right, win nothing, no Champions League football, but playing fast, fluid football like Brighton? What would you have preferred? Okay? Where did Brighton finish? Let's have a look. Let's settle this debate once and for all. So Brighton last season... finished, I think it was 7th, wasn't it? Was it 7th? All right, let's have a look. Yeah, so Brighton last season finished 6th, okay? They finished 6th. They played better football than Manchester United. 100%. 1,000%. Brighton were an absolute joy to watch. Did they win anything? No. Did they get to any finals? No. Did they get top 4? No. So I'm going to ask you that. What would you prefer? In Eric Ten Hag's first season, finish 6th, win nothing, no Champions League football and no finals, but be playing exciting football? Or would you rather get top 4, win a trophy, the first one in 5 years, and get to another final? I'm taking the trophy and the final and the top 4, to be honest with you, because if you don't have those things, I'm telling you now, all of those people who are like, Eric Ten Hag out, we have no style of play, would have said, Eric Ten Hag out, we finished 6th, this is a disgrace, we should have been in the top 4. You know, so I think it's a little bit short-sighted. I get it. I think if we're still playing this same pragmatic football in 1 or 2 years, then obviously then it starts raising question marks. But at the moment, I think that we still need to give him time. I think we've had 1 season. He achieved way more than I ever expected in that 1 season. I didn't expect to win a trophy. I didn't expect to get top 4. So yeah, for me, I'm definitely not Eric Ten Hag out in any way, shape or form. But obviously, let me know in the comment section what you guys think. MUFC Realist, hope you're doing well, mate. He says, Kieran, what's your score prediction? Do you reckon we turn up and go for a winning streak like last season? I think we're going to win 2-1 against Brighton, mate. I think we're going to beat them. I don't know. I mean, I'm not like obviously 100%, but I think we are going to beat them. I think our home record is really good. So yeah, I think we're going to beat them 2-1. I think then obviously we'll probably lose to Bayern, but I think after that in the Premier League we'll do quite well. But he says if we don't have a style of play by the end of the season, he should be sacked, but I'll give him till then. I mean, that's a little bit more of a fair example, right? So if by the end of the season, say we don't have top 4 and we're still playing pragmatic, defensive, counter-attacking football, and we've won nothing this season and get no top 4, then I think it's fair to start having that conversation. I'm not saying I'm Erik ten Hag out at that point, but I would at least be willing to have that conversation and say maybe he's not the right man. You know, we didn't get top 4, we didn't win anything, we've gone backwards, our style of play is not what it should be. Maybe then, but after one season, yeah, I don't think so. Chris says, you do realise to become this dazzling football side, a lot of the favourites have to go. Mate, I 100% agree with you. I don't think Rashford suits the style of play that you're wanting. I don't think Bruno probably doesn't. I don't think... Who else? I don't know. But yeah, I'd say at least 3 or 4 of our starting players in that team don't suit possession-based football. They don't. Because every time Rashford gets the ball, he either tries to run at someone and shoot from God knows how far. Every time Bruno gets the ball, he tries the Hollywood pass, which I know annoys a lot of people because... the amount of times that Bruno gives the ball away, I love him, but I don't think he really suits this like Ajax 70% possession, passing it backwards, sideways, constantly type of football. He doesn't. He suits the like get the ball, make a chance out of nowhere, and score a goal type thing, which is more of counter-attacking. Lucas says, "Are you Irish? You have the slightest hint of an accent." No, I'm not Irish. I'm quarter Irish, quarter Welsh, and half English. I've got what have I got? I've got an Irish mother. Welsh on my dad's side, but obviously I was born in England, so yeah, that's my heritage. Rajat says we don't have to necessarily play beautiful football. I mean, that's it though, isn't it? I think it's very easy to say I want to see beautiful football, but if I said to you, would you rather beautiful football and win nothing and not get top 4, or pragmatic football and win trophies and get in top 4? I think you'd all pick the pragmatic one realistically, wouldn't you? It's just whether we get the results this season. That's the big question mark, because if we don't get top 4 and we don't get trophies this season and we're still not playing very exciting football, then I do think that people will start asking questions. But I'm definitely waiting until the end of the season before I start even entertaining any of those types of questions for me personally. But let me know what you think in the comment section, guys. I'm sure there's some of you who are getting frustrated, and I appreciate that. You're entitled to your opinions. Let's just hope we go and beat Brighton on Saturday. All we can do is look to the next game. We've got a massive game at Old Trafford on Saturday. We have to beat Brighton. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Richard says, Kieran, why don't we see your full name as the host highlighted on the front page? I don't know. I've never had anybody ask me that before. It's an unusual question, I guess. My name is Kieran. Like, yeah, I don't know. Daniela says, sorry, my friend. I think Erik ten Hag might jump ship if Real Madrid come knocking in the summer. I mean, I wouldn't blame him. If the Glazers are still here in the summer and we're, still in absolute turmoil, which we are at the moment, and Erik ten Hag gets the offer of Real Madrid or Barcelona, I would definitely go if I was him. Jihan says Erik ten Hag out is nonsense. We have different expectations than Brighton. What you need to understand is that certain players have to go. Bruno for one. Rashford can stay if he gives up force. He gives us force up front. Yeah, exactly. MUFC Reader says sacking a manager is not the solution. Fans need to see who the real problem is. Glazers out. Yeah, 100%, mate. You sack a manager, and the same thing will just happen over and over and over again. It's never going to get any better. Tell me, anybody who is Erik ten Hag out, tell me who this manager is who's going to come in and do whatever it is you expect. I mean, who is it? Zinedine Zidane? I don't think so. I don't think he's going to do any better than Erik ten Hag. Who else is there? I mean, we had Jose Mourinho, a serial winner. He won what? A League Cup and a Europa League. He won 2 or 3 trophies, and he still got sacked in the end because it just didn't work, did it? He didn't get backed. Yeah, but let's see what everyone is saying. Somebody's saying 3-1 Manchester United against Brighton. I'd be very happy with that. Joshua says we're going to get beat by Brighton. Brighton are way better than us, and their players are better. I mean, God. I honestly, if we get beat by Brighton on Saturday, I'm gonna go and bury my head in the sand, I think, because I don't want to come back on this camera and everyone is already pretty upset at the moment. But if we lose to Brighton on Saturday, it's going to be absolutely miserable, isn't it? It really is. Hellboy says I have faith in Erik ten Hag. Well, that's good because I do as well. So big ups to you. Fred says, don't you think the fans need entertaining with decent performances? Yeah, I do, mate. I do. I 100% do. Mila says, De Zerbi, but let's keep Erik ten Hag. I just think that the comparison with De Zerbi and Manchester United and Erik ten Hag is just a little bit like comparing a 5-star hotel with a 3-star hotel. Say you're the manager of the 3-star hotel, okay? And all of your customers come in and they have no expectations. If you go and stay in a 3-star hotel, right, you're probably paying in the UK £50 to £100. You go there, the food's average, they don't have any facilities. They charge you for everything. And it's a pretty average stay, isn't it? The rooms are dated. It's kind of a bit dirty. You go to a 5-star hotel. The second you walk in, they're giving you like a little hot towel. They're giving you some sort of nice refreshment drink. They're showing you the spa, the sauna. Your expectations are high, aren't they? If you go to the 5-star. And if you don't have the expectations that you're expecting, then you complain. That's what Manchester United is like. Obviously, by the way we run it isn't, but generally, we're like the 5-star hotel where our expectations are sky high. There'll be people in this chat here who think we should be winning the league this season. There'll be people who think we should be winning the Champions League. Whereas at Brighton, when was the last time Brighton won a trophy? Like, have Brighton... I literally don't know. Let's have a look. Brighton trophies. My point that I'm making here is there's no expectations at Brighton. Zero expectations. Whereas you come to Manchester United and we're the 5-star hotel. There's people in this fan base that if we lose against Arsenal are saying, sack the manager. We lose against Manchester City, sack the manager. If Brighton lose to Arsenal, they just say, oh, well, it's Arsenal. If they lose to Manchester City, oh, it's Manchester City. So Brighton have won... They have won... I mean, I'm just looking. They won the 3rd tier championship. What's that? So that's the 3rd tier Premier League. So they won the League One trophy in 2010. And they won the 4th tier trophy in 2001. So in their whole career, right, in the whole legacy of Brighton, they've won 2 trophies. One of them was the Division 4 and one of them was the Division 3. I mean, that just kind of sums it up, doesn't it? Compare that to Manchester United. We've won 20 Premier League trophies alone. So it's a completely different kettle of fish. You could bring in De Zerbi. He comes in. And what's to say it's going to work? I think it's a completely different kettle of fish. It is. Right, let's see what everyone else is saying. Yeah, Jihan says if the Brighton manager was here by now, he would have been sacked. United have different expectations. Exactly, as I just said, guys. I think that was a good analogy. Let me know if you like that analogy. Manchester United is the 5-star hotel. Brighton is the 3-star hotel. You go there with 0 expectations, and it's average. You come to Manchester United, we lose 1 game, and there's people calling for them to be sacked. You know, if you go to the 5-star hotel and your room's dirty, and the swimming pool's out of use, you're asking for a refund, aren't you? So just try and remember it like that. Let's see what everyone else is saying. P1 says Brighton haven't been great this season. Some of you guys are a bit too negative, probably not even United fans. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, people saying crazy to be even talking about De Zerbi. Yeah, I agree, mate. I completely agree. I don't think De Zerbi would be any better. Welsh Hunter says all this trash about losing to Brighton, we will beat them easily 3-1. Yeah, I think we're going to beat them. Exactly. Rajat says Manchester United have different pressures. Exactly, mate. Exactly that. It's a completely different kettle of fish. But yeah, I think everyone gets the point that I was trying to make there. So let's move on to something else. I just wanted to really, really highlight something that Pellistri has come out and said. Pellistri has just come out and said, you have to keep training during any holidays. If we want to win everything, we have to keep training that way. And that was in response to, as I said earlier on in the show, Pellistri, for the whole of the summer, was in Mexico on a private training camp. You know, that is the kind of mentality we want at Manchester United. These young, hungry players who are absolutely desperate to play for the club. And that's what I really, really do like. So what else are people saying? Mida says, no manager in the world can win Premier League or Champions League with these owners. The 2nd and 3rd places are the best we can do. I agree with you, mate. I do. I said this a couple of days ago that I genuinely don't think that we'll win the Premier League again under the Glazers. I know we've won it once many, many years ago when Sir Alex was still here, but I don't think we'll win the Premier League under the Glazers ever again. I genuinely believe that. I just think that all of the other teams have a run way better. They're way more competent. And I think that they're levels ahead of us. Richie says Ten Hag knew Manchester United was a challenge, but he certainly didn't expect all the drama. Yeah, exactly. He did. It's a massive step up from Ajax, you know. Ajax is obviously a massive club, but going from Ajax to Manchester United is a big, big step. And the thing I want you guys all to remember is the amount of us fans who wanted to get Erik ten Hag. It was unbelievable. The percentages, when you looked at polls, it was so high in Erik ten Hag's favour. So do just remember that. Fred says 5-star. Have you seen Old Trafford toilets? Yeah, to be fair, that was a bit of an over judgment there, wasn't it? If anybody's been to Manchester United recently, I would probably say that Brighton Stadium is probably better facilities wise than Old Trafford. You know, like don't go in the toilets if you ever have to go to Old Trafford. Like believe me, it's not pretty in there. Sean says. So Bertie says if he says I'm Erik ten Hag out if we lose to Brighton. Fair enough. That's what I just said, though, isn't it? If Brighton, right? If Brighton go and play Manchester City next week and they lose, do you think their fans are going to be saying the manager needs to get sacked? No. It's different expectations. You've just proved my point there. Sean says, I think it's great we suspended Sancho. He's been as... don't come to United if you want to clown around. You will get a top wage, but behave and be professional and put effort in. 100%, mate. I agree. Welsh Hunter says, Erik ten Hag is the right man. Yes, definitely. SMK says, Anthony could take his chance to organise his own training camp. Yeah, I don't know about that. Reza says, do you remember where Ferguson finished in his first season? That's a good question. I don't know. I'm going to have a look for you now. Let's have a look. Where Alex Ferguson, Manchester United, standings under Alex Ferguson. I think we didn't win anything for a while under Ferguson. Obviously, it was quite a way before my time. So... Oh no, all right, I'm wrong there. I'm completely wrong. So Alex Ferguson in his first season at Manchester United came first. The second season he came first. Third season was third. So out of his first 5 seasons, Sir Alex Ferguson came first 4 times and second once. So, but I mean, it's a completely different kettle of fish, isn't it? One of those seasons he got 75 points and we finished first. I mean, I think we got more points than that last season, didn't we? Or around that kind of figure. So it's a completely different, It's a completely different era is what I'm trying to get across here. Let's see if we've got any more questions before we wrap up the show. Jihan says, our manager is the best in the business. We just need to get players out. Even if we lose, I will be Erik ten Hag in more than ever. I remember when Fergie came, our club will be sold for sure. Yeah, 100%, mate. I'm not going to turn my back on Erik ten Hag. I'm not. Like, it's just not going to happen. Like, until the Glazers are gone, if the Glazers go, right, and everything changes behind the scenes, you know, all of our recruitment changes and all the rest of it, and we're still playing counter-attacking football in 2 or 3 years' time, maybe at that point I'll say maybe he's not the right man for the job. But whilst the Glazers are there, I think it's just a pointless conversation because I genuinely don't think it will make any difference, personally. Oh, right, I think somebody's saying... Right. Okay, yeah, so I've got that wrong there, guys. I was looking at the Premier League history under Alex Ferguson. So let me start that again. So Sir Alex Ferguson's first year at Manchester United, we finished 11th. Second season, we finished 2nd. Third season, 11th. Fourth season, 13th. Fifth season, 6th. Seventh season, 2nd. So it took Alex Ferguson, right? Sir Alex, the greatest manager of all time. It took him 7 seasons at Manchester United to finish first. In his first 5 seasons, he finished 11th twice and 13th. So that is pretty poor. I was reading the wrong stats. I do apologise for that. But that is the proper one. It took him 7 seasons, Sir Alex Ferguson, to finish first. Right? That just sums it up for me, doesn't it? Absolutely mad, isn't it? And Everton won the league the first year that he was here. Frank says Sir Alex Ferguson got sacked, nearly got sacked during his first season, yeah. Daniel says, how long with new owners till we win the league? You know what? I'm going to probably upset some people here, but I still think, right? I know some of you want Sheikh Jassim, some of you want Sir Jim Ratcliffe. Let's just say that I think it will be 3 to 5 years if Sheikh Jassim comes in until we win the Premier League. I genuinely believe that. I think we're that far away from everything. You know, you've got to clean the debt. You've got to bring in all of the rest of these things. I think it will take that long. I don't think, Sheikh Jassim buys the club and in that next season we win the Premier League. I would be shocked if that happens. I really would. I would say 3 to 5 years, but let me know what you guys think in the comment section. So yeah, let me know in the comment section, how many years do you think it will take under new owners for Manchester United to win the Premier League? Let's see if I've got any more questions before I wrap up the video. I think that's all the questions. Right, I'm going to end the stream here, guys. Thank you so much to everyone who has joined us today. I will, of course, be back live at 8 a.m. UK time tomorrow for your morning show. If anything breaks between now and tomorrow, of course, I will go live. So please do make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. And also, please make sure to smash a like on the video on your way out. Thank you so much for watching. This has been Daily Red Devil. I've been Kieran, and I'll catch you all later.